Good evening and welcome. First up, news from India. The Economic Survey, which is an annual publication assessing the state of India's economy, was presented in both houses of India's legislature on the first day of budget session. The report card that said that India's financial savings has benefited from the demonetization of 500 and 1,000 rupee banknotes. Prepared by the Chief Economic Advisor Arvind Subramaniam, the Economic Survey expects the 2019 financial growth to be between 7 and 7.5%. Oil prices remain a major concern, though. The Economic Survey calls for quote-unquote policy vigilance in the coming year if high oil prices persist or stock prices correct sharply. Jobs and agriculture will be key focus areas besides stabilizing goods and services tax or GST. Subramaniam said that 1.8 million new taxpayers were added after demonetization and introduction of GST, resulting in a 50% increase in the number of indirect taxpayers.
Last time, I think we have estimates of the size of the formal sector in India, formal sector employment, formal sector economic activity. And I think I was blown away. So, for example, if you take the stock of formal employment in the non-agricultural sector, our estimate is that between 30 and 50% of this workforce is employed in the formal sector. We project nominal GDP growth this year for about 10.5%. And going forward next year, because of all these factors, we think that growth will rise to between 7 and 7.5. You've, of course, seen the IMF and World Bank projections, so this is in the ballpark. I would single out 2 or 3 very prominent ones. The launch of the transformational GST at the stroke of the midnight hour on July 1st. I think what is really important to take away also is the fact, as the finance minister said the other day or yesterday, that not only was it launched, and for something of such scale, complexity and scope, there were bound to be teething challenges. And I think it's fair to say that one of the remarkable things was, the mid-course, the corrective, expeditious actions that were taken.
The Economic Survey comes days after the Global Trust Index released in Davos placed India among the top 3 nations where trust in government remains high. Now, the Economic Survey 2017-18 says that the Indian economy is in a good shape and will get even better as the global economy rebounds with manufacturing and agriculture. But does it mean more jobs for Indians? Also, does it mean improved living standards for them? WION Sumit Chaturvedi finds out in this next report.
The Indian economy saw some hiccups due to GST implementation and the after effects of demonetization. But India still remains one of the better growth prospects. The Economic Survey 2018 presented before Parliament estimates that the Indian economy will grow by 7 to 7.5% in 2018-19, thereby reinstating India as the world's fastest growing major economy. This means India will witness better growth and hopefully better job opportunities. According to the Economic Survey, GDP will grow at 6.75% this year. But it's also warned of challenges ahead. It has cautioned that persistently high oil prices remain a key risk. Since diesel and petrol prices have been deregulated, any hike will be passed on to the consumer. On the positive side, services is expected to grow at 8.3%. So jobs in the skills-driven sector could improve, with education being one of them. Private sector investment is expected to see a rebound, and this will support more jobs. Inflation will continue to moderate, which is good for consumer spending. The Consumer Price Index, or CPI-based headline inflation, has averaged 3.3% during this period, which is the lowest in the last 6 financial years. The survey notes the concern among major producing states that the shift to the new GST system would undermine their tax collections. But it points out that many of these concerns have been allayed, with GST being linked to the size of their economies. The survey says the government will have more funds to spend on the infrastructure and social services sectors. Another major positive is growth in exports, which could translate into more jobs. Bureau Report, WION.